don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap.
So I want to just bring to attention the reason, like, literally, and I want it to be noticed now, because this happens every time I make a video where I start talking about real shit happening in our country and this communist crap with the left and how they're making everything fucking gay and suck ass and lame and gay.
Gay.
Everything, make it, put a chick in it, make it lame and gay. Every time I talk about these things, my ability to record is taken away. So, right now I'm recording, you know, it's recording perfectly fine. Anytime I record any of these games, doesn't matter what game it is, it immediately stops recording. It's doing it again. And I just want to point out the fact that this is what it's like to live in communist societies. You're not allowed to have a voice. No matter, like, it's literally one of those things of either, and I've looked up fixes, I've literally tried all the fixes, none of them work. If GeForce decides no recording whatsoever, it'll decide that, or it will decide, oh, you can record desktop. No gameplay, no games at all, because, you know, that's totally, I'm willing to bet people come here just to stare at my fucking desktop. Well, you know, if this is how shit's gonna be, we're gonna have to start changing our format on how we're doing things. What I'm gonna do now is go ahead and open the game, and you're gonna probably notice that the recording immediately stops. When the recording stops, note that I did not stop it. We're going to come back with probably redacted, and we'll play some of their news segments, and then we'll comment about things. Because I'm at the point of, if you communists are seriously going to destroy gaming, you're not even gonna let me have gaming. My one escape from reality, where I could pretend like you shitheads didn't exist, I can't even have this anymore. There's no reason for me not to go full balls to the wall, anti-communist, fuck you, fuck everything you stand for, and fight you to the absolute death if necessary. Because I'm done. I am fucking done. I used to enjoy editing and making YouTube videos for fun. That was it, just for fucking fun. On my own spare time. But when you live under communism, how dare you, peasant, think that you could find something you fucking enjoy? How dare you? How dare you fucking enjoy doing something, right? You fucking piece of shit. Like, god fucking damn, bro. This is why I hate communists so fucking much. And it's one of those things now of, this has been going on for, what, 2 fucking years with my YouTube now? 2 goddamn years as a small YouTuber. It's been more of a thing of they're removing my ability to record over shutting down my channel. Because they've shut down multiple channels, they know I'm just gonna make a new one. Now they're just going after my ability to record things, and, you know, not allowing me to post videos if I say certain no-no things, because yay, communism. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead, open the game, and you're gonna see for yourself exactly what happens. So it's finally come to this, huh? It's finally turned into, we have to, like, literally, and the only way I can make content and talk about this shit is if I do this right here, which is something I never, at any point, planned to do with my fucking channel. I just want it to be 100% clear, this was never in the plans for my goddamn channel. And, you know, I never wanted to rely on other people's content to make my own content. But here we are, not allowed to record video games anymore. Because I keep talking about things that the government doesn't want me talking about, I guess. I don't fucking know, YouTube hates me. But, you know, we're just gonna keep digging that hole. I'm over here trying to talk to bitches on my phone at the same time as dealing with this, but yeah, let's go ahead and dive on into our first major news story that I'd like to bring to people's attention, because in my home country, this was a major step forward in what was the beginning of the genocides against the so-called dissidents and terrorists, quote unquote. People who the government looked at as a threat and a problem to society. So they rounded them up and shot them. Today in my home country, what they do? They shut off the internet for the whole country, and then they just go door to door shooting anyone that they decide is a problem. And not just that person. No, they kill your entire family because they don't need your family starting shit for the government later on. It's easier just to wipe out everyone and start over. So, let's go ahead and get into our first segment here that I think everybody should be paying a lot more attention to, because this is how they're going. This is the whole reason they want to take your guns away. It should be. That's the thing. This needs to be made ultimately and seriously clear that this is the exact reason they don't want you to own guns. Because when the government comes to kill you, they don't want you to have the ability to shoot back. I'm not 100% on volume levels here, you know, so we're just gonna go with this. But they legally, this is several days old now, but they have legally authorized military use against the American population. And it is very, very vaguely worded as to what can be considered a reason for the military to kill you. It's pretty much the same as my home country. If you're potentially a threat to the government can kick in your door and shoot everyone they see. Let's go ahead and get on in. Dive on in, why don't we? And just fucking listen to this shite.
I'm not going to mince words here, and we'll cut right to the chase. It seems that, while everyone had their eyes focused on Hurricane Helene, the DoD quietly updated one of their directives, an update that now authorizes the use of lethal force against American citizens during times of unrest.
Times of unrest. So you mean like COVID? Remember when they locked you all down and wouldn't allow you to leave your house for COVID? Well, now, next time they lock you down and force you to stay indoors, they legally have the right to shoot you to death if you don't comply. You starting to see why they don't want you to own guns yet? Let's continue.
Weeks before the 2024 election. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel.
I just want to make it clear the reason I'm not cutting out the video name, her channel name, and her intro stuff is mainly because I'm not trying to take credit away from the original creator of this video. Most people who do these things cut out everything except a very small video, and sometimes they'll tell you who it is. I already know I'm stealing other people's content. I might as well leave all their information so you can find them yourselves if you want to. Again, let's continue.
Actually saw Braden cover this over at Langley late last night. Well, by the time you see this, 2 nights ago, and had already decided to look into it first thing this morning when I got tons of emails and comments about this. So thank you everyone for the tips. Honestly, if Braden hadn't already covered it, I would have thought it wasn't real. Now, before I get into it, I do have certain obligations on this channel, and
Also, another thing I notice is that a lot of people pause these videos to talk in between what these people are saying. And I'm not sure if there's like a specific time limit, you know? So, I'm gonna do that every now and then.
Convenient time this is to give the world a little PSA about ammo squared.
So we're gonna go ahead and skip this product placement because I'm not making any money off of it.
Ship it this for public release on September 27th. This 40 document in hand to the story. Alright, so here we go, Liberty Fam. I have the document in hand. This is DoD Directive 5240.01, just reissued on September 27th. This thing says right on the cover sheet that it is cleared for public release, so it's not even any kind of big secret. They're just not, of course, going to announce it in the nightly news. Here is the relevant section. Section 3.3.A2C, under the things that require Secretary of Defense approval, a position that is appointed and not elected. So,
Realize that. In every third world country, the person who has the authority to use military force to murder civilians is always appointed and never elected. I don't know why. I gotta turn on some more fucking lighting in my room. My character is freaking out because the lighting is bad.
Subject to paragraph 3.
Oh yeah, I gotta talk about this. I forgot about this one. I should bring this up here because I don't really know where else I would talk about this, so... Some dumbass has been trying to extort me for money, saying that I use my computer for porn. I mean, I do have some Steam porn games, but those are pretty much public information. You know, anyone that goes onto my Steam game library can see that I own those games. In fact, there have been a few female gamers that have added me specifically because of my choice in pornographic video games. I don't get it, but hey, if that's what you women are into, then so be it. Yeah. There isn't any... That's the thing, I don't use my main computer for porn due to the fact that I don't want to risk malware or viruses. You know? I have a stash that I've had for fucking years on a cell phone that's, again, nothing illegal. It might get into the weird sometimes, but, you know, who doesn't fucking look up some weird shit because you want something different to jack off to? I'm just gonna be That's the thing, I'm not afraid to talk about this shit. Again, I have no problems being upfront about it. But some dumbass was trying to say that they have my address, they took a photo of my neighbor's house, and that they were gonna come do some shit if I didn't pay them, and they were gonna release the information. You know, me being from a military police family who is very well trained in self-defense, knife fighting that I had to learn back when I was on the streets, and very well versed in how to use guns and keep myself alive in a gunfight due to the military police family training me in such things, I told motherfucker to come get it. Because honestly, fuck around and find out. Again, I live in a constitutional carry state. I have a gun on me at all times. If you really want to die, then do it. But hey, instead, I told retard that, first of all, that's my neighbor's house. You know, maybe, you know, that's not even my house. Before you threaten me, maybe get the right fucking address and house. So they proceeded to attempt to rob my neighbor's house. Which, now, you know, again, I alerted my neighbors to the fact that this was potentially going to be an issue for them. And, yeah, I just want you to know that the entire neighborhood is now on a shoot first, ask questions later basis. You know, there were a few people who thought I was just bullshitting, but now that it's become a thing of that, so that their house was actually hit and targeted while they were home, yeah, everyone on this block will shoot you if you do anything stupid now and ask questions afterwards. We're not fucking around anymore. Again, fuck around and find out. I told them the same thing. I don't know why they didn't shoot first and ask questions later when they saw that they were stealing from them. But hey, I guess they cherish human life more than I do. So, you know, I guess you got lucky there, because if you fucked with me, I would have killed you. Continuing on.
1. Defense intelligence components may provide personnel to assist a federal department or agency, including a federal law enforcement agency or a state or local law enforcement agency, when lives are in danger, in response to a request for such assistance, in accordance with the following approval authorities. A. Secretary of Defense approval. 1. The Secretary of Defense may approve any type of requested permissible assistance described in paragraph 3.2. 2. The decision to approve requests for these types of permissible assistance described in paragraph 3.2 to law enforcement agencies and other civil authorities are reserved to the Secretary of Defense. Provision of personnel to support response efforts for civil disturbances, which may also require presidential authorization. Note the may also, not does. B. DoD response to chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and high-yield explosive incidents.
Hey, what a perfect time. Isn't it funny that while America is trying to force a nuclear war with Russia, they happen to authorize military killing of civilians just in case there's a bioweapon or a nuclear weapon that goes off? What a coincidence in timing. You know, it's almost like they're trying to turn us into a third world communist dictatorship. Are you enjoying equality yet as everybody becomes equally poor and miserable? I know I'm loving the fact that I can never afford anything and food is becoming more expensive. It's just so much goddamn fun, you know? But let's go over that one more time, because there were a few other things in there, and again, I'm trying to talk to females while I'm doing this, and I shouldn't be. It's one of those things of just life in general is cluster-fucking me with multiple things at once. So, let's go over this.
To assist or local...
It's the thing,
Here is...
This is some very, very, very important stuff that people should be aware of. That's my main thing here. Because holy motherfuck, dude.
The relevant section, section 3.3.A2C, under the things that require Secretary of Defense approval, a position that is appointed and not elected. Subject to paragraph 3.1, defense intelligence components may provide personnel to assist a federal department or agency, including a federal law enforcement agency or a state or local law enforcement agency, when lives are in danger, in response to a request for such assistance, in accordance with the following approval authorities. A. Secretary of Defense approval. 1. The Secretary of Defense may approve any type of requested permissible assistance described in paragraph 3.2. 2. The decision to approve requests for these types of permissible assistance described in paragraph 3.2 to law enforcement agencies and other civil authorities are reserved to the Secretary of Defense.
The Secretary of Defense may approve any type of requested permissible assistance described by paragraph 3.2. So 3.2... what's 3.1? There's 3.3. We're not at 3.2. 3.2 must have been before this.
Provision of personnel to support response efforts for civil disturbances, which may also require presidential authorization. Note the may also, not does. B. DoD response to chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and high-yield explosive incidents. And now check out option C. Assistance in responding with assets with potential for lethality, or any situation in which it is reasonably foreseeable that providing the requested assistance may involve the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force, including death or serious bodily injury. It also includes all support to civilian law enforcement officials in situations where a confrontation between civilian law enforcement and civilian individuals or groups is reasonably anticipated.
Note that, because that right there is the exact laws that come. I'm not even joking. Those are the laws in my home country. My third world communist home country that was ruined by Castro literally has laws like that in the book. If you're a problem to the government, they can shoot you. Even if you're, let's say you're a police force that's going against what the government, the federal government wants, they can just send in their military, shoot everyone, and take over. Let's say, you know, you and your friends enjoy going to the range and tactical training. Let's say some of them are even ex-military. And let's say you enjoy doing those things a little too much. Suddenly, you've got FBI agents kicking in your door, shooting you and your kids. Let's say you're protesting something the government did that you don't like. And they want that protested ended just the same as they do in my home country. Well, get the machine guns and open fire. You see, are you starting to see what I'm talking about now? You remember 4 years ago when I said shit like this is exactly where we were headed? And this is the type of laws you're gonna have on the books because this is exactly what comes with communism. And I was called a right-wing extremist, a right-wing nut job, a fucking crazy person, and all these other a bigot, a racist, a Nazi, all these fucking things, you know? You know? Just remember next time when they decide that you're not allowed to drive your car or go outside, that the government can legally kill you because you're now a threat. Remember that. During COVID lockdowns, you were considered a biological threat to the government. So if they do something like that again, they will have 100% legal authority to shoot you immediately. I'm just going to give that one a second for you people to let it sink in. Because, yeah. We could be talking about this while playing video games, but apparently the communists don't want us to do that, so instead we get to actually, you know, watch news articles and talk about them. This is so much more fun than playing video games. I love my life.
So, the requested assistance may include the use of force that is likely to result in lethal force in confrontations between law enforcement and civilian individuals and groups. Now, I know some of you are going to point to the fact that the U.S. military is prohibited from engaging domestically with citizens, except in very narrow exceptions that are spelled out as part of the...
Yeah, normally the law is the U.S. military isn't allowed to interfere in any domestic incidences. But do you truly believe a communist government that literally just put into law the military, if they decide necessary, can be sent in and shoot thousands of people if they decide that they all need to die? You know, the normal types of genocides you see in third world countries. Line them up and shoot them. Mass bury them in some giant pit. Do you truly believe that the government won't change the laws and make it so that the military is the police? Why do you think they wanted to get rid of the police? Who do you think the police are in most third world countries that are literally, if you do anything stupid that is against the government, hey, you can murder people, you can rob people, you can do whatever the fuck you like, but don't you dare talk bad about the dictator or you're gonna get shot. You do understand those countries don't have police. They're run by military. Again, think about this for 5 seconds, people. You don't have to like Donald Trump. You don't have to like the man. But they are actively trying to kill him. What in the ever-living fuck makes you think for 5 seconds, as a peasant, with no millions of dollars to your name, no mansions, no golf courses, no businesses, that your life is worth any more than his? What makes you think for 5 seconds that the government won't send somebody to kill you because you said a no-no thing on the internet? And now you're a threat to the government. I'll wait for somebody to give me a good answer on why they believe that the government won't do that to them. But if you're such a sheep that you're just gonna keep following along to this... You know what's hilarious? I was actually thinking about going into the military and fighting for this country before it turned into a communist shithole. But now I want nothing to do with that. Honestly, I don't. That's the thing. Number one, I'm not dying for a communist shit-stained country run by a senile idiot who's running it straight into the fucking ground. Number two, I'm not giving up my life for an unaffordable country where I still wouldn't be able to afford anything even after my service. Number three, I'm not giving up my life for a authoritarian dictatorship that might one day tell me, hey, you see those civilians over there that are peacefully protesting against our laws? Go shoot them. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but it's starting to look like Russia's on the right side of history right about now, you know? And I'm not a Russia supporter. I used to never be a Russia supporter, but, you know, when a country just wants to be left the fuck alone and do their own thing, kind of like how I just want to be left the fuck alone and play my video games and be able to enjoy my life without other people fucking telling me how to do so, you start to relate with these other people. I'm just being brutally honest here. You know, it really is becoming a thing of, you know, at least Russia's upfront and honest about their communism and how they will kill you. They don't pretend like they're better than everyone else and that they don't do those things when they actually are making laws to do those things. That's my thing with Russia right now. Why am I supposed to hate them? At least they're honest about their shit. My country, on the other hand, would rather lie to me while they do the same shit Russia does. You literally want to put Trump in jail and kill him. The same thing Putin does to every person who runs against him in any election. Why am I supposed to want to go to war with this country? Because they're going after Ukraine? BlackRock's new little baby? Yeah, I totally want to give up my life for BlackRock and Vanguard, the two major corporations that are fucking over our country and ruining absolutely everything because they want a medical industrial complex where you're literally eating lab-grown food that makes you sick 24/7, so you're forced to be pumped full of medicines or you die. That way they can just keep making money forever. Like, here, think about this for 5 seconds. Just take 5 seconds to think this one through. They now have a medication that makes it so that AIDS won't kill you, and you can't spread the disease to other people if you take the medication on a daily basis. Are you truly going to tell me that we can't cure that disease? Or is it just more affordable to have people on a daily medication that they have to pay for and take every day for the rest of their life? I don't know. I'm not, again, I don't make these decisions for the country, but I can tell you which one's definitely more profitable. Let's get back to our video, shall we?
Posse Comitatus Act, with a penalty of a fine or 2 years in prison, which seems like a pretty negligible sentence, all things considered. However, except in cases and under circumstances expressly authorized by the Constitution or Act of Congress, willfully uses any part of the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, or the Space Force as a posse comitatus or otherwise to execute the laws, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 2 years, or both. And when you consider how many things have been labeled as threats to democracy and threats to the administration lately, and the way that the DHS has been expanding its definition of domestic terrorism to include Trump voters, people who buy Bibles, gun owners, or anyone who consumes alternative media sources like this video, when you consider that January 6th was labeled a treasonous conflict between the state and civilians, it's a little concerning. And some people might think that stopping that would easily be worth a paltry fine or 2 years in prison. How that relates to this document, I can't tell you. Don't really know. Now, this is an intelligence document applicable to any, quote, DoD components. So what is this? Well, the document defines this as OSD, the military departments, the Office of the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Joint Staff, the Combatant Commands, the Office of Inspector General of the Department of Defense, the defense agencies, the DoD field activities, and all other organizational entities within the DoD. And as per section 1.2, this applies to all DoD intelligence and intelligence-related activities, and despite being labeled as about intelligence activities, includes units that are, quote, not intelligence units or intelligence funded. And if this is strictly...
Hold on a moment. Give me like 5 seconds. I gotta see if I'm gonna be getting laid later or not.
About only intelligence gathering, then why is there a specific bullet point specifying that this document cannot be used for the armed forces or DoD employees to engage in or conspire to engage in assassination? And why, if it's own intelligence and intelligence-related activities, and despite being labeled as about intelligence activities, includes units that are, quote, not intelligence units or intelligence funded. And if this is strictly about only intelligence gathering, then why is there a specific bullet point specifying that this document cannot be used for the armed forces or DoD employees to engage in or conspire to engage in assassination?
I wanted to just have that play twice, considering what's going on in our country right now. Do you believe for 5 seconds that they won't use this for assassination? I mean, they're already trying to kill Trump. And in here, I'll be brutally honest with you. I wasn't fully supporting Trump until you motherfuckers started trying to kill him. Now that I know that he's that big of a threat to the establishment and these fucking elites, I definitely want him in office because I'm tired of this. I'm tired of not being able to afford shit. I'm tired of a bunch of rich elitist assholes who literally are the most stupid people in the world continuously saying they know better for me because they have money. Like, goddamn, bro, if I inherited $17 billion, I wouldn't immediately start thinking I'm better than everybody, and that I know how people must live their lives, and they have to live it under the standards I set because I'm rich. And I must know better for them because I'm rich. Like, that's the thing, man. Remember when Democrats were anti-establishment, anti-elitist? They love to talk about eat the rich and making them pay their fair share, but they are the first people to run to the defense of the richest people in our government and any corporation. They are the quickest people to defend corporations, CEOs, and fucking politicians that have more money than any person could spend in their entire lifetime. But I'm the fucking crazy right-wing nutjob for fucking talking about these things, you know? That's how they treat me, for pointing out the fact that they're the ones protecting the rich elite people that they keep saying need to pay their fair share, and even though they pay higher taxes than anyone else in the country. But, you know, again, that requires actually understanding the laws and how our tax system works, or the economy, or even electricity at this point. Reading. It requires reading, and I honestly don't expect any of these things from Democrats anymore.
And why, if it's only about intelligence, does it expressly state this DoD help can include the use of lethal force? Earlier on, it limits the scope to times of war or when specifically approved by the president, but we also had that bullet point that said may also be approved by the president, and says that any intelligence that could lead to using lethal force could instead just be approved by the Secretary of Defense. But it also says that component heads can act immediately for up to 72 hours before obtaining approval. Something else to consider, this document repealed all previous versions. The 2016 version was mostly focused on collecting intelligence and ensuring civil liberties protections. It emphasized strict oversight and authorization before collecting information on U.S. citizens, whether or not that was actually followed. It has zero mention of lethal force. None. Zip. Going all the way back to 1982, cooperation with law enforcement was strictly limited to investigating foreign intelligence, foreign terrorists, and international narcotics operations, protecting DoD employees, and preventing, detecting, or investigating other violations of the law. Again, there was no mention at all of lethal force or civil unrest there either. So, what does this all mean? I don't know. I am not a lawyer, I am not a military member, and I am sure as hell not the Secretary of Defense. But it is concerning in today's political climate that there is suddenly a document that has never mentioned lethal force, and now suddenly it does in the context of clashing with American citizens, again before an election that they are once again calling the most important election of our time. When the last one had questionable happenings, we'll say, that you're not allowed to talk about on YouTube. When Time Magazine put out their gloating piece about the secret and well-funded cabal that fortified the election, when the last election saw January 6th, which the current administration latched onto as, again, a treasonous act perpetrated by domestic terrorists. All of this, and it is election season again, and we get this new document authorizing the DoD to use lethal force against American citizens when the government deems that it is appropriate. I would love your opinions down in the comments. If anyone has any particular insight here, that would be helpful. But as it stands, the way I'm reading it, this doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies. And if it really is all about intelligence and nothing else, and intelligence that could lead to lethal force against Americans, well, that is still equally concerning, considering the fact that there have been many whistleblowers and investigations that have come out about the biases of the particular...
Hey, anybody remember how all of those whistleblowers from Boeing kept dying under mysterious circumstances? Anybody remember that? Anybody remember how the whistleblowers that kept talking about their horrible standards and why their airplanes keep falling out of the sky suddenly were dying under mysterious circumstances? I bet our government, which has fucked us over and literally is making food unaffordable, would never do something like that. There's no way they would violate... I mean, they kind of just made... I was about to say violate the law to kill American citizens, but they did just write it into law that they can kill American citizens if you are deemed a threat. Which is the same as every other third world country's law. If you're deemed a threat to the government of any kind, they can shoot you. Or put you in jail. I have to keep asking the question, why am I supposed to hate Russia? Honestly, it's starting to sound like I would have more freedom in Russia, and I would have to deal with less bullshit in, like, the people. That's the thing, I literally talk to Russian people on the internet. And I've done some studies now of Russia, its society, and what it's like there. Because, you know, ever since Trump, my thing is, why am I supposed to hate this? Let me look into it. There's no reason besides the fact that he kills his political enemies. Well, you know, I can't agree with that one. Oh, wait, America's doing the same thing. So, what, Ukraine? I'm supposed to give a shit about Ukraine. The country that all of the Nazis ran to after we took down Hitler, and they still have an entire military battalion that uses the SS Nazi symbol as their logo. I'm supposed to give a shit about the Nazis we didn't kill in World War II. That's why I'm supposed to hate Russia? I'm not supposed to cheer for Russia that they wipe out the last of the Nazis? No. See, this is my thing with Democrats and communists. You know, they're literally on the side of Nazis right now. Actual Nazis. Because when they call people Nazis, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. The last person I had a conversation with that was literally calling people Nazis, when I asked them, who did the Nazis go after in World War II, they said Canada. They said fucking Canada. I mean, Canada helped fight the war, but the major genocide wasn't against the Canadians. And that's the thing, it makes sense as to why the Canadian government brought in an actual SS ex-Nazi battalion member who committed horrible atrocities against the Jewish people into their parliament and celebrated clapping for him and everything. It also explains why Boris Johnson brought in the Azov battalion and held up the flag with the SS Nazi logo on it in their government office while celebrating Nazis again. These are things that people need to wake up to. The leaders of our Western world have turned into the enemies that we used to fight back in the old wars, and we're just letting them destroy everything those people fought and died for. Yeah.
Particular intelligence-based alphabet agencies will say. Would I bet my life that the alphabet agencies and Fed boys would always provide 100% honest intelligence without political bias or without being weaponized against the American citizens? Absolutely not. So that is it for this video, guys. Take that as you will. The information is right there. You know what? I will link them down in the comments so you can read the policies themselves. Again, let me know. I would love to hear what you folks think about this, but I have my suspicions. Anyways, that is it for this video. You guys know the drill for all of the algorithm things. This is definitely something that I think needs to be shared out and get more eyeballs on it, though there are a lot of folks already talking about it in my comment section, in my inbox, so thank you.
Yeah, that's about the end of that. Should we, talk about the growing fucking civil war that is my illegal invaders and their gang members stealing land and actual American gangs fighting to take the land back?
There are growing concerns among residents and business owners here. They say they're losing their community. Former City Councilman Hiram Montserrat wants Governor Kathy Hochul to send in the National Guard.
This is organized crime.
So an entire New York City neighborhood has been taken over by gangs, and there's nothing the city's able to do about it. Because even after several police raids of this formerly vibrant middle-class neighborhood, the levels of criminal activity here continue to soar. And that's why residents are demanding the governor step in and send in the troops.
I actually got to speak to a couple of community members. They say that organized crime has taken over this community. They demand the community be cleaned up immediately because walking down the street isn't safe anymore.
You want to live in this country, you want to get the American dream, and what you're doing is completely wrong. You're breaking the law.
Now they're...
That was an immigrant right there. A real immigrant. One of the ones we want in our country. Somebody who comes here because they want to work and live the American dream. I'm sorry to tell you this, hun, but the new American dream is to leave this country. That's what the American dream has become. To get enough money so that you can live comfortably in a poorer country where you can actually afford things. Like, have you seen... Matter of fact, take a look at the grocery prices for food in Russia. And then take a look at the grocery prices in America. And you tell me why we're supposed to hate their country. I'll give you, like... I'll go ahead and give you a moment to go ahead and find that Tucker Carlson video where he went grocery shopping in Russia. And was literally like, holy shit, everything is dirt cheap and affordable compared to America. And Russia, and that's the thing, I'm only using Russia as the example because we're supposed to hate them so much. You know, it's again, it's one of those things of I'm gonna fight you on everything at this point. You really done fucking pissed me off. I'm fucking done. That's the thing. I'm done. Let's get back to it.
They're in broad daylight, they're in front of schools, we have garbage, we have illegal vendors.
We say no more, and we're going to shut you down.
That's the promise from officers raiding this Roosevelt Avenue massage parlor.
2 days out.
You know, when you open your borders and allow 60 million people into your country, do you seriously think you're going to be able... Okay, here you go. Here's a fun one. Venezuela's crime rate has dropped by 60% across their entire country. Yet, for some reason, even though all of their gang members and people from their jails that they emptied out are now here, and they're having a 60% decrease in crime rate across their entire country, somehow the communist lying administration of fucking socialists says that the crime rates are lower than ever, even though we have 60 million new citizens that are mostly gang members, drug dealers, and are raping and murdering people left and fucking right on this broad daylights in the streets, even children. You know, before Biden and this lowest crime rate we've ever had, we weren't the #1 child sex trafficking country in the world. We weren't the #1 slave country in the world. We were years ago, but we are again. Isn't it funny how Democrats started all of this shit off of the backs of the black struggle and managed to bring slavery and child sex slavery back at the strongest it has ever been since, you know, they were brought over here on the boats? I just want this to sink in, that the same people that are trying to guilt trip everyone into feeling bad about blacks are the same people that literally created the biggest child and human sex slavery ring that has pretty much ever existed. Meanwhile, they're doing the exact racist shit they did to black people to white people. What is it with the Democrat Party and KKK stuff? Because their racism towards white people is the exact same racism the KKK used to do to blacks. Why is it always Democrats? And suddenly, and this is my favorite one, Democrats, again, even though Democrats originally did segregation back during slavery days, they were the ones who wanted and fought hard for segregation, they're now trying to convince black people that you would be better off and safer if you segregated yourselves. You know, once again, they're trying to bring back the whole whites and blacks just shouldn't mix together. And it's the Democrats doing it again, while calling everyone else racist. Isn't it fun when people project their behaviors on everyone else? Isn't it fun to deal with people who do shit like that? Project all of their behavior on everyone else just to distract from their actual racism, sexism, bigotry, or just plain out, you know, not wanting women to have the same rights that they've had for years. Moving on.
After they reopened, and we came here last night, they were here.
The mayor said the flood of migrants coming to the city with little support systems contribute to the situation.
And you know, police tell us that the migrant crisis has really made this problem so much worse. Not only is there increased gang activity, but also
this Trinidad Outlaw gang that originates in Venezuela has now made the United States their second home. This gang is now hidden in plain sight within the 1 million Venezuelans that have entered the country. We're already in trouble.
Just a heads up, this Venezuelan gang is one of the most violent gangs in all of South America. Just want that to sink in for a second.
Because they've been here for a while and they're involved in so many different crimes. You name the crime, they're going to be involved in it.
For months, crime in a middle-class part of New York has been allowed to surge to levels beyond anyone's control. But even though things here have gotten really bad over the last 2 years, what nobody's talking about is that this never would have happened in the first place if we had laws that punished criminals, but We don't. And the growth of crime here is something critics say is headed to every neighborhood in town if things don't change. And if troops aren't sent in to get rid of these gangs. Because what we're witnessing in this part of town is the end game of every type of crime our leaders continue to defend as non-violent and victimless. Like shoplifting, which we've decriminalized in this state and made a non-jailable misdemeanor, which allows repeat...
Huh. So you're telling me that legalizing crime has led to more crime? No way! The criminals didn't... They are not just misunderstood individuals who do these things because they just don't know what else to do in society, and if you legalized it, they wouldn't do it? You're telling me that they're committing more crimes and even more violent ones since you've legalized minor crime? No way! Huh. It's almost like humanity has done that for, what, 2,000 years now? I'm pretty sure we've been alive for, several million years, but it's one of those things of we've kind of only recorded, 2,000 years of history, at least, on date? You know, it's almost like that hasn't changed one bit since medieval times. Oh man. I guess I'm just being a crazy conspiracy right-wing nut job by thinking human nature is a real thing.
Criminals earn thousands taking whatever they want from any store in town and reselling it, which you'll see happening on Roosevelt Avenue on practically every street corner, with some open-air theft markets set up right by the stores those goods come out of. But that's far from the only type of crime taking place in that part of town 24 hours a day. Here you'll find everything from illegal food vendors operating restaurant-grade kitchens right on the sidewalk, to businesses that look legitimate but sell things they shouldn't and are part of a criminal economy that just keeps growing and growing. Which brings us to the real reason why residents are now demanding that troops come in and get rid of the criminal element in their neighborhood once and for all. The police...
Remember, we talked about this. Currently, the military does not have the legal right to be deployed for such a situation. And to be 100% honest, after they passed a bill stating that the military can shoot anyone they deem a threat, American civilian or not, I wouldn't be begging the military to come in to save you, New York. If I were you, I would start forming your own militias, telling the government, fuck you, we're gonna have guns, and having the numbers to tell them, come take them. And they're not gonna do anything because you have so many people. Again, stop relying on this goddamn government that puts you in this situation to help you. Like, seriously, how fucking stupid do you have to be to literally have allowed your government to do this to you, and you're still begging them to do something about it? To be honest, bro, if I lived in New York, I'd have started a militia a long time ago. I'd have started my own militia. I'd have had my own neighborhood on lockdown. And it's one of those things of we are not going... First of all, we do not answer to the government or the police because they're the ones who made us have to live this way in the first place. We do not arrest and hand over people to the police. No, we will either jail them ourselves or bury them in the mass grave like everyone else. There's no reason for us to ask you for help anymore. We're growing our own food. That's the thing. We will become fully self-sufficient and protect ourselves. We don't want your help anymore. You've done enough by putting us in this situation. At least that's how I would handle it if I lived in a state like this. Maybe there aren't enough people with the balls to do it. You know, maybe that's the problem. You can't get enough people together that actually have enough balls to actually defend what they live for and their lives and the way their livelihood should be. Because I know for a second right now, the only thing I would be willing to die for in this country is the militia I set up to protect my neighborhood. That's the thing. I don't give two shits about Russia. I don't give two shits about Ukraine. I don't give two shits about Israel. I mean, I'm tired of fucking Iran. I'm gonna be real about that one. I've been tired of them since Afghanistan. But that's a whole different story. So, you know, that's a whole different story. That's one of those things of, you know, if we're gonna bomb them, let's do it already. But, yeah, that's a whole nother story for a different time. you know? But again, I wouldn't be begging the government for anything anymore. In fact, I would be manufacturing my own ammunition. You know, I wouldn't... There's no fucking way I would want any help from what was it Reagan said? The worst thing the government can ever say is, we're from the government and we're here to help. Wasn't that Reagan who said that? I can't really remember if it was him or not. But, you know, it rings true still to this fucking day. I'm sorry, man. I just know for a fact that if I lived in this, I would not want government. That's the thing. The only way the government is getting control of that territory again is if they kill all of us. Because otherwise, it's going to be a thing of, we don't need you, we don't want your help, we're doing a good enough job securing this location on our own and killing the useless idiots who come here trying to start shit. You know, we don't need you coming in here, arresting our people and killing us, and allowing these criminals to do whatever the fuck they want. If you want to if you want us, and then my last thing to the government is this. If we need to kill each other to end this, then so be it. I'd prefer we didn't go down that road, but it seems like you want control at all, like no matter what the cost is. So it probably would end with my death against the government either fucking way. I just know for a fact that I would have the safest neighborhood for quite a while. Because there's no that's the thing. I'm sorry, but no. The government would have absolutely no authority at all in the area I would take over. Because, one, you made this a hellhole, and two, the last thing I need is for you idiots to take over again and fuck it all up and put it right back to where it was when you were in control of it in the first place. That's the thing. I would have put in a lot of blood and sweat into making that neighborhood a nice place to live again, and the last thing I would want to do is hand it over to the exact people who fucked it up in the first place. But that's enough of my rant on what I would do as a New Yorker. I don't know why the fuck you oh yeah, you guys have extreme harsh gun laws that only help these criminal gang members that don't give two rats' asses about any of your laws. Oh my, it's one of those things of, that's my favorite thing about these fucking anti-gun people. They think that making laws are going to stop people that are doing this to New York City. They really don't give a shit about any laws. That's the thing, I'm pretty sure gun laws aren't even on their list of things they think about. Like, they're probably more worried about getting caught stealing something than they are getting caught with a gun, because they can just shoot the person and kill them and leave. I'm just saying, bro. It's one of those things of, if you what was it? Australia, you remember how they got rid of their guns? Yeah, they now have mass stabbing events, like, all the time, and they've had multiple complete decapitations in fucking churches and shit, where people just lose it, pull out a knife, start stabbing people, and chopping heads off. You know, the problem isn't the tool, it's the fact that humans do this shit. Human nature. Again, if people understood human nature, we'd probably be able to fix a lot more issues in society, instead of just blaming tools for all the ills of some idiot who shot up a school. You know? Obviously, they were going to do something crazy. If it wasn't the school, it was going to be something else. You know? It's just one of those things of, these are mentally deranged individuals who are going to snap one day and do something crazy. It really doesn't matter what tool they use to do it. They're going to do it. Limiting the tools for everyone doesn't stop crazy people. It just makes it so that these crazy people, when they get their hands on these tools, have a more efficient time killing more people because they're the only ones who now have the tools. And I am not joking when I say this. Some European countries, after banning guns, now that they have mass stabbings all the times, are now looking at banning knives. I'm sure that every chef and person with a kitchen is gonna enjoy trying to cut their food with plastic utensils when they have to cook an actual meal and cut up some meat. But hey, you know what you can still kill somebody with? A toothbrush if you file it down correctly. So, you know, again, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The fucking old leader of Japan's leader was assassinated with a homemade gun in a country that is extremely anti-gun. Did you know that shootings actually happen in Japan quite often by the Yakuza? It's just not talked about a lot, because Japan has a weird relationship with the Yakuza where if they allow them to do whatever they want, they're less of a problem to the government. The only time they really go after them is when they commit a shooting. Because that's one of those things of, holy shit, a shooting in Japan? You know, that's major shit. Guns aren't allowed to be used for those purposes. So something has to be done in order to get the civilian population to stop freaking out. Because they know that's the thing, the civilian population in Japan, once they've heard there was a shooting in their area, the only thing they can think is, if somebody, I might get shot and there's nothing I can do about it because I can't own guns. There's nothing I can do, I might die. They're shooting people out here and I can't do anything about it. If anyone ever pulls a gun on me, I'm dead. Anyways, back to our fucking regularly scheduled program.
Police have been trying to do this for over a year, but it hasn't been enough. Because after they raid a store or a business or a bunch of sidewalk shops, those vendors come back and reopen within hours of the police walking away. And as you're about to see, this system of constant, unrelenting crime is leading to the destruction of a middle-class neighborhood, which should be a warning and a wake-up call to the rest of this city and the rest of this country. But this raises a big question. Why is this such a problem in only one area of New York and not anywhere else? And why do certain parts of town like this look perfectly fine when we've got others near here where the residents wish they were living under martial law? So here we are in Midtown Manhattan, and you'll notice right over here we've got some police activity going on, but this part of town is completely different than another part of town, which is very close to here. And right away, there's an obvious reason for that. Look at all the police activity we've got going on right here. That shows you that in an area of town where you've got constant crime prevention, it's pretty hard for criminals to operate, you know, right over here on the street corner, selling stuff they shouldn't. But in Jackson Heights, Queens, you won't find constant law enforcement and crime prevention. No, instead you'll find constant criminal activity.
Former city councilman Hiram Montserrat wants Governor Kathy Hochul to send in the National Guard or state police to help clean up the area. He says it's plagued by criminal activity, including illegal vendors, and that's not all.
You know, remember, actually, you know, I never said it on YouTube. I said it on Facebook and Instagram. But I want to go back maybe 5 years from now, when they were talking about opening the border. And I told you, and I was telling people, you know what a lot of areas of this country are going to look like if you do that? Mexico. Because you're going to need military-grade policing in order to control these violent criminal gangs and cartels. What is New York starting to look like? I mean, California already looks like that, but, you know, it's one of those things of, remember when we used to tell you they want every state to be California? Shit on the streets everywhere, use needles, just do whatever drugs you want, shoot it up in front of the kids at the park, you know? And teach them kids about heroin use while you're at it, and how fun it is to OD and have to have a fucking adrenaline shot, you know? Just go ahead and do it at the fucking children's park, because it's not like the cops can do anything about it anyways. But that's what they want for this whole country. They want to turn us into a third world shithole like Mexico, where you literally need military-grade policing, and possibly, because I've seen this happen in Mexico, where they use miniguns from helicopters to wipe out cartel members because it's the most efficient way to wipe out not only the building, but anything inside of the building. You people want to live like that, but most of you, again, I watched Democrats making videos after that hurricane went through North Carolina. For a group of people that keep talking about how tough you are and how ready you'd be for a civil war and all this shit, you people were the most panicked, freaked out, and begging for government help when that hurricane fucked up your town. To be 100%, every time... I called it every time the person in the video was literally having a panic attack to the point they could barely functionally complete sentences, I literally said, I guarantee that's a Democrat. And what do you know, they eventually talked about how they support Kamala Harris and Biden and have no clue why they're being abandoned. And I'm just like, yep, these are the exact people that if shit were to go down, because you know what my plans were? I'm just going to be brutally honest, because I was in the path of the hurricane until it moved. You know what my plans were? This is what I was thinking beforehand. If that hurricane comes through here and wipes out my entire fucking neighborhood and my house and everything, I need to make sure that my guns, my food, my extra source of water and all that are in a location that if the walls collapse, they don't get completely crushed. That was my first thing. My next thing was, how do I not get crushed by my house? Or possibly whipped away by the winds? I could possibly tie strings around all the weights I use for working out, and hopefully that'll be heavy enough to actually keep me down if it comes to that. My next thing was, what if we're out of power long enough that, you know, the water just doesn't work anymore, and I run out of my stores of water? Well, you can always boil seawater, remove the salt from it, and then filter it. You know, see, that's how my brain works when I saw natural disasters coming. It was, what do I need to do to be fully prepared in case shit hits the fan and I'm completely left with nothing? Do I have everything necessary to survive more than 1 week if that happens? What am I going to do if I end up running out of resources because the government doesn't give a rat's ass about our lives anymore and I'm completely left to myself to figure out what to do? Well, I came up with plans for all of those things, and I was ready for it, but I got lucky and the hurricane missed me. Unlike Democrats, who were having panic attacks on their phones, begging for government help. It's one of those things of, you know, I think about the fact that you people say that you want a civil war and that you're ready for it. Then I see how you react to a natural disaster and being left with no government help or nothing. And I realize that you people would probably only make it to about... And I'm not saying you would die. I'm saying your sanity level would probably only make it through about a day to 2 days before you start completely breaking down and wanting to go home and having panic attacks because, one, there are no guaranteed food sources. There's no guaranteed water sources. You gotta ration that shit at all times, and at any time somebody can try and kill you. If you people can barely handle a hurricane and some flooding, I don't think for 5 seconds you could handle having to fight to the death in a possible... That's the thing. Do you think that fighting to the death stops when the storms start? No. If there's thunder and lightning striking down people as you're being shot at, like if your people are getting hit by lightning and you're getting shot at, guess what you gotta do? You gotta keep shooting back at the fucking enemy and hope that your friend didn't die from that lightning bolt. Not have a fucking panic attack and start begging the government for, wah, what do I do? The government's not here to help me, wah. Like, goddamn, you people would not survive a civil... It's a thing. You people would fucking go about 2 days and then would be begging for it to end. And I'll tell you this right now, after this many years of bullshit from you people, there's no fucking way I would give that to you. That's the thing, there's no fucking way I would want to end it until I get tired of the bloodlust. I'm just gonna be brutally honest there. Just because you people are tired and having panic attacks doesn't mean we are. Let's be fucking real. And that doesn't mean that we're gonna stop because you can't function anymore as a soldier. I'm just being brutally honest. I'm gonna leave it at that because, again, if you want to see the rest of this, the name, the channel, the video, it's all right here. It's pretty much, a lot of times, it's just going around in circles talking about the same things. You mostly get the gist of the problems within the first 4 minutes of the video. Then they just continue to talk about the crime problem itself, the areas, what the city's saying about it, blah, blah, blah. That type of thing. So, we're going to go ahead and end it here. I'm going to, you know, hopefully, because I had to take my motorcycle back in for a few more modifications I wanted. I probably could have done some of it myself, but at the same time, it was one of those things of, you know, I'm not really sure about certain things. There was a, oh no, it was, I think my chain was a little looser than it should have been on my bike, and I do not have the tools necessary to fix that. When it comes to actually loosening the wheel itself, I don't have those tools. I have the tools for the small nuts, not those giant ones. So I couldn't actually fix that myself. So I just took it in and told them if they could. It's the because currently my fucking chain was rubbing across the frame of the fucking bike, and it was starting to actually wipe off the metal color of my chain to the frame. I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to do that, even though it's a new bike, so I took it in for them to fix that. I'm getting that rear fender fan removed as well, because fuck that damn thing. And I'm also getting the side fairings, the steel framings, because, you know, I'm tired of fucking... what was it? I've only dropped my bike twice, and goddamn, I'm tired of pieces of metal breaking off. Just the first time I dropped my bike, it was such a light drop, and it landed in grass too. Like I literally just slightly fell over into the grass. It broke my pegs, my brake, my fucking throttle broke, my goddamn brake lever on the front broke as well. And it's one of those things of, you know, I'd like to be able to drop my bike lightly in the grass even without breaking a bunch of shit and having to pay $3,000 in repairs, you know? So $800 for some steel frames is definitely worth it at the end of the day. But yeah, I'm gonna leave that all there. That's all I gotta say. I wish this could have been me playing video games, but the communists don't want that to happen. I'm willing to bet after this video, my NVIDIA GeForce recording will stop working completely, and I won't be able to record it all. So if you don't hear from me for a long time, that's exactly what's happening again. That's why I'm not posting video gameplay, because as you saw, anytime I try to record again, I've tried multiple games. It's not just Throne and Liberty. Any game. Literally any game I play, if I attempt to record it, it immediately stops the recording. So, yeah. We have to do this now, which was never the plan for this channel. But, you know, the fight against these communists must continue. And I'm gonna keep fighting it until this shit finally stops. Even if it costs me my goddamn life at this point. Because it really is a thing of, you know, they're just gonna keep taking and taking and taking. And I've wanted to die since I was like 8 years old. So, you know, I'm perfectly fine fighting you people to the death if that's where it ends up being in the future. I only wanted to go to Afghanistan and wasn't allowed to because of a herniated disc. But hey, whatever. It's one of those things of now that they'll take me with a herniated disc, I want nothing to do with this country or its government. That's the thing, I want nothing to do with this country's government, its politicians, or being told to shoot people because the government doesn't like them. You know? Especially when it's American citizens. Either way, please, for the love of God, educate yourself on what the fuck is happening in this country. Because we're seriously running out of time now that the government has the authority to shoot us if they deem us a threat.